Yong Shen, Immortality. Chapter 97, Abolish Martial Arts. Fang Han relies on the mana, and infiltrates the brilliance of the treasures and wins the sword. Under one thought, the magic weapon will change hands. At this critical juncture, Yi Nantian also showed himself as the third strength of the Shanhe list, biting his tongue, using tingling, clearing his mind, and then singing a series of syllables, which is the long song of Yuaman. The strong sound wave turbulence slightly moved the mana, and then the Rashomon towering on the stage felt the sound waves, suddenly changed, and a huge vortex appeared in the door. Luo Sheng Vortex. As soon as the vortex appeared, Fang Han felt his mana, like 100 rivers returning to the sea, and rushing toward the Luo Sheng door. This door can absorb the mana. Suddenly, the mana was uncontrollable and blew away. Ha 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 ha. Yi Nantian suddenly felt the pressure drop, knowing that Luo Sheng men played a role, no longer hesitate, physically smashed the sword, and strangled toward Fang Han. He would take this opportunity. Let's kill the square cold into pieces. Not good. Not good. The elders in the stands were shocked. They naturally saw that Fang Han was extremely dangerous. If it is killed, the martial art loses a disciple of the mysterious secret, and the loss is huge. However, at this moment, Fang Han's face showed a sneer, suddenly turned over, his hands were scratched toward the outside, and the inside was shrunk. The body was spinning like a gyro, and it was about to be inhaled into the mana in the Rashomon. Was spurred by his will, suddenly slowed down the speed, now highly condensed, even condensed into an invisible drill bit, rumbling rotation, violent airflow, hurricane flying, shaking two shakes, hard-moving momentum. If the rubber band bounces, the spirit snake turns back and even collects it. From the back, it hits the body of Yi Nantian. Bang! Yi Nantian was hit by this sudden attack, the whole body lost its balance, and the glory of the 8 desert wars suddenly weakened. The sword light that blasted and swallowed was entangled by mana and frozen in the air. The body of Fang Han then moved, like a dragon, free to shuttle in the air, the mana of a strip, change again, not spread, but like a spider silking net, once again the Yi Nantian net. This series of manipulative mana, highly condensed, is definitely not the first person to enter the magical powers, but the master of manipulating mana. If the people who have just stepped into the mysterious secrets will not work in exquisite manners, now that they are facing each other, Luo Sheng men away all the mana and is mentally disillusioned. The elders who were just shocked, once again surprised, were surprised at Fang Han's subtle manipulation of mana. It is really the use of mana to get radiant. In fact, Fang Han completed the magical powers of the gods in the ground 3 months ago, and he constantly tempered his mana, and exquisitely manipulated it. He used it to be pure, free to condense, change the shape, use force, break down the combination, and refine the gas into silk. Sprinkling nets, condensing the palms, picking up the twists and twists. And so on are all very incomparable. He has not been in vain for the 3 months of hard work. Moreover, there are many good teachers who use this skill, and many experiences can be directly learned. Fang Han, I don't share the day with you. Hundreds of swords kill. Once again, he was caught by the net, and Yi Nantian issued a curse of resentment, struggling to spur the 8 wild wars and kill again. On the other side of the trench, there were hundreds of swords and spurs. The suction of the vortex of Luo Sheng men increased again. Fang Han did not pay attention to his curse. The body swayed faster in the air. No one could lock his specific position. He swayed between high speeds, his left hand and 5 fingers swelled, and a mana twisted, rotated, and woven into a spirit. Snake-like wind whip, slamming on the war of Yi Nantian, directly smashing those Jianguang. Yi Nantian's body was also beaten and turned around. And his right hand, punching inward, and then put it to the door of Luosheng. Rumble, rumbling. A group of airflows were highly condensed and suddenly bounced. When they reached the front of Luosheng's facade, they encountered suction and exploded immediately. The huge turbulence has offset the power of the Luosheng vortex. Meow. Run mana, stir the airflow in an instant, gather together, condense into a thunder, blow up in the vortex, offset the suction of the Luosheng vortex, this hand, although a waste of mana, but win time. It seems that it's been a long time since I stepped into the mysterious mystery. I have been forbearing for a long time. It's only a blockbuster today. Good personal things. Indigo saw this scene, with a happy color, and the beggar's bet was about to win. Why didn't he smile? The magic weapon is second, it is a rare sigh of relief. Between her speech, Fang Han shot again, mana differentiation, all the wind whip, non-stop slap, played Yi Nantian again and again, the wolf rushed to the pig, but never separated from the control of Fang Han, several times using Luosheng men they are all offset by Fang Han in a clever way, consuming very little mana. Luosheng, swords and sorrows. Seeing that he was in danger, Yi Nantian was once again arrogant. The 8 wild wars were shattered, and the Guanghua was restrained. It turned into a small sword. Colleagues, the Luosheng gate, the vortex stopped, and a shot was made. Airflow, blessing on the small sword. This exquisite 8 sacred sword immediately seemed to have taken a medicine to make up the tiger and wolf, shaking thousands of swords, and the power was steep and long, and it broke the mana entanglement and killed it to Fang Han. It's like a broken bamboo. The mana actually collapsed. Losing the protection of Feijian, Yi Nanshan's entire body fell down, but when he fell, his body burned and turned into a stream of air to make his body fall slowly, and landed in the ring. On. The original Luoshengman, you can also give Feijian blessing mana. Fang Han saw the power of the 8 wild god swords suddenly increased, breaking their own mana, killing the flesh, a surprise, knowing that Luoshengman blessed the power. The power of the Aichinjian sword is very clear in his heart, but the power of Luoshengmen is unpredictable, and he does not know what secret means are hidden. In the face of the flying sword, his palms were lifted up, and mana moved to his hand. In the meantime, the volley of the surf was shot at 8 hours 86 minutes. Whenever each palm is played, the mana is highly condensed, and it is turned into a hand-painted handprint that hits the 8 dragon sword. Slowed down the power of the 8 swords. When the 8-year-old sword arrived in front of him, he suddenly pulled out a series of notes. Hey! Hey! Poke! Well! Hey! 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 Tianlong octave. This time, Fang Long's Tianlong octave is not a sound wave, but a twisted airflow record. These characters are intertwined together, as if they are 8 invisible air dragons, smashing the past with the 8 gods. When the Tianlong octave is in the flesh, it is a sound wave turbulence, and its power is not great, but once it reaches the mysterious secret, it will show its power when it has a mana. As soon as the 8 senses of the sword encountered the Tianlong octave, it suddenly sounded awkward, and the bee wings vibrated at high speed, which seemed to be disintegrated. Trembling for 3 blinks of time, suddenly the power disappeared, and fell straight into the ring, making a crisp sound. Ah! Yi Nantian seems to have been pumped a stick, because he felt that Fang Han Tianlong's octave came out, and the spirit of his own blood was branded and scattered. Hey! He screamed, his body flew, and he grabbed the 8 sacred sword that fell on the ground. As long as he grabbed it and let the sword contaminate his blood, he could use it again. However, Fang Han was faster than him. He fell to the ground and stood in front of him. He stepped on the 8-day sword and let him avoid. Not good. Seeing the situation is not good, Yi Nantian body collapsed. All the eyes were blaming, and the Rashomon behind him shook again. Fang Han couldn't allow him to push Luo Xingmen. He stepped forward step by step, and his body clothes swelled. The whole man's mana sprayed, pushing the body, shrinking the ground into inches, and hitting the body of Yi Nantian. Puff! Yi Nantian's body was fully beaten up by 5 or 6 people. He spurted blood at high altitude, like a fountain of blood and rain. Then he fell straight down the platform, the whole body was broken, the muscles were broken, and martial arts had been scrapped. Chapter 98, Fang Han Long. Lost. With a treasure, and Luo Xingmen, who is a brother of Wan Luo, lost. This Yi Nantian lost his brother. Not at all, Fang Han is a master of the mysterious secret. I don't know the sword of the 8 senses, will Fang Han take it away? No, according to the rules, even if you lose, you have no power to take away the opponent's magic weapon. That's not necessarily, this is a cold and tyrannical. When you haven't reached the mysterious secret, you dare to smash the master of Huatiandu. Now you have it. Maybe you will take it away. Yeah, I went to Wanluofeng last time and saw the brothers of Wan's practice mana, and squandered the horses. But there is no such thing as Fang Han. I have to know that Sang's brother was promoted to the mysterious secrets 5 years ago, and retired for 5 years, to enhance the mana, but the mana is not as high as Fang Han, and he is not so skilled. Yes. That is really horrible. It seems that it is not a blind man to challenge the Chinese brother. Yi Nantian failed, was beaten with blood, fell to the downfall, completely abolished martial arts, and life and death do not know. This time, it once again shocked all the disciples outside the inner door. Although they knew that Fang Han was strong, they did not expect Fang Hanxiang to reach this level. There was no such thing as running mana, just like practicing for many years. At this time, Fang Han is both mysterious and terrifying in the minds of these disciples. Tianlong Octave. This is the ancient dragons and supernatural powers. There are not many people here. How can he? At this time, several elders are also talking about it. Maybe Fang Qingxue taught him. Ling, this day, the of wood, I can smile. Indigo to this time, set the mind, hand a touch, the galaxy bracelet returned to his wrist, and that day the wooden needle also fell to his own hands. The coffin's face twitched and lost this piece of Tianmu, and he also suffered from meat. This day, the wooden needle is a jewel of tens of thousands of years of wood heart. The greenwood gas can clear the meridians, point the mortal, condense the medicinal herbs, raise the eucalyptus, and destroy the evil spirits. However, he naturally can't repent now. Yi Nantian, I said, you will regret it. Abolish your martial arts, see how you are arrogant in the future. Why bother? If you didn't provoke me at the beginning, I will leave a little bit today, let your face go, where we'll make it like this, the face is gone, people become a waste. Fang Han listened to the discussion under the ring, the face was motionless, watching Yi Nantian, who fell down the platform, said indifferent and ridiculous words. Yi Nantian is very strong. Although his body is broken, he still has no faintness in his mind. He looks at Fang Han with his sinful eyes. He seems to bring Fang Han into hell. His strong hatred is overwhelming, but his body. Nothing can move at all. Fang Han did not pay attention to him, he was going to pick up the 8 wild gods' sword, this flying sword cannot be left to Yi Nantian. Yi Nantian is now not sharing his own hatred with himself. Fang Han wants to find a righteous chance to kill him. How can he leave a treasure for the enemy? Even if this is not in line, you have to find an excuse to forcefully swallow it. As for the Luo Shengmen, then forget it, although I want to swallow it. But the things of Wan Luo Feng. Offended Zong Tiandu, and then offended Nan Wan Luo, I am afraid that it is really difficult to get better. However, when he was about to pick up the 8 swords of the sword, he suddenly felt that the Luosheng gate had ejected a stream of air, and actually sucked in the 8 senses of the sword, and then the airflow did not stop, and it fell on the platform. The broken Yinantian also sucked in. Is this? Fang Han felt dangerous from it and did not shoot. The disciples also stopped talking and looked at the Rashomon that flew up. A voice was conveyed from the door, there is a disciple who promotes the mysterious secrets. It is a blessing to my feathering door. But the same disciple, there is no need to fight for life and death, and the family should not solve it. Yinantian took me away, this time come to an end. Fang Han, you don't want to find Yinantian in the future. You are a master of magic and you should be broad-minded. It is Master Wan Luo. Yes, it is the voice of Brother Wan Luo. Many of the inner disciples who have entered the door of the feathers for many years have been shocked, because the voice of Nan Wan Luo is conveyed from the Rashomon. Hey! This Wan Luo is obviously a biased piece, is it broader in my heart? I am broad-minded, I am afraid that Yinantian will not be broad, and the death and hatred has already been formed. It is not difficult to fight. Fang Han heard Wan Luo's words, the heart is fierce cold, but he has changed his tone in his mouth, that is nature, I have become a supernatural power, and I don't know anything about Yishidi. That's good. In the Luoshengmen, Wan Luo said 3 words. The whole door was shrunk and changed into a group of light and shadow. Upward and vertical, there was no shadow. It was obviously returned to Wan Luo Feng. Fang Han wins. A semi-elder, who presided over the meeting only stepped up and announced that Fang Han won. Fang Han did not show the joy, but stepped down the stage, but did not return to his original place, but thought about Fang Qingwei. The disciple in front of him saw him coming over, and avoided, for fear raised the master of this magical secret. Fang Han. What do you want to do? Fang Qingwei saw Fang Han coming over and looked sharply, do you want to be against me? Hey! Waiting for my sister to go out, don't tell her not. When you see how you tell her. Is it? Fang Han's hand grabbed it, and Fang Qingwei was wrapped up in an invisible mana. The body was brought over and fell to Fang Han's side, I don't want to be like you, just tell you. Last time I told you that any man who is close to you will be seen once by me. This is not the exception of Yinantian. He is completely ruined and you have to be self-sufficient. After that, Fang Han sat down and closed his eyes and raised his eyes, ignoring the complicated eyes of other disciples. Fang Qingwei bit his teeth, secretly moving his footsteps, suddenly drilled into the disciples, crowded out and fled the mountain river courtyard. I don't know where to go. Fang Han did not care for her. Boom! On the other side of the ring, the sound-killing magic knife flew out, directly smashing the flying sword of an inner disciple into 2 pieces, and dropped it on the ground. The inner disciple was as earthy and immediately confessed. The Red Lord of the county triumphantly returned, and sat down next to Fang Han. Fang Han, your accent-killing magic knife is really powerful. It seems that this time I am afraid I can enter the top 10 of the mountain river. Be careful, meet experts, don't entangle. Fang Han nodded. Next, the contest of the Shanha list continued, and the disciples of all parties showed great powers. Some disciples used the rules to use them extremely skillfully and performed well. However, no matter how well-behaved disciples cannot attract attention, because the news of Fang Han's promotion to the mysterious secrets is really shocking. Any wonderful performance of any disciple is nothing compared to him. In the game of Fang Han, as long as he arrives at him, those disciples will automatically admit defeat. This contest has been going on until the evening, and most of the disciples have won the game. Only the last few rounds are left. The red-eyed county owner actually killed the top 10 of the Mountain River list. Just then, the elders began to announce the list. Fang Han, Long Yao,